Welcome back, guys. First off, I'm going to say this video is a little bit all over the place. I started filming it probably last year, gave up on a couple of bits, ordered some wrong parts. We'll go through all that in the video. But essentially, we're back on the Peugeot Bima build. It's a 1953, I believe, maybe 55 Peugeot Bima. Quite a rare bike now, not many left. My aim is to keep on with the resto. Before video part 1, check out my video. I think I uploaded it in May 23. I definitely bought the bike in March 23. It explains all that in my first video. Feel free to take a look. The aim of this video essentially is to get it back on its wheels and stop it being in the way. As I mentioned at the start, I did a couple of bits. I gave up, started again, gave up. Other projects got in the way, got bumped up the list. But finally, I want to get all the paintwork done, all the patina popping, all the chrome bright work done. So this video is going to be a bit about how we get it back on the wheels, finally getting the right parts, getting it all stripped down, all the paintwork corrected as much as possible. Aim is to save as much of the original parts as possible and go from there. So hopefully, stick with me. Apologies if we jump around a bit. I'll probably look a bit different. Some of these videos were filmed, parts of this video were filmed over a year ago. Let's go on this journey. Let's get it finished. And hopefully it'll look awesome at the end. I'll do some before and after bits. Cheers, guys. Guys, welcome back. Finally, we are back on the Bima build. As you can see, it's been a bit neglected. It's been a while since my last video on that project. Let me explain why. Let's go. So as I said in the intro, we're back on the Peugeot Bima. Couple of reasons. One, some kind of cool, fun, interesting projects skipped the list. Check out my last videos. I'll post some links or pictures up here. They were kind of little mini fun builds. Secondly, truth be told, I ordered the wrong parts. They took a while to arrive from France. I finally still don't have the right parts, but I have a temporary solution and I'll explain it as I get into what I'm doing. But first of all, I need to actually make some space. As you can see, we're a bit overrun with bikes. We've got the Bima, the Moped AV89, and then also there is a project from a long time ago. That is a Peugeot CPX Black Lion 80s BMX. So we're getting them out of the way, make some space. Dig out all the parts around here somewhere, all the parts hiding in boxes on shelves. I'll find those, get it ready, and then I'll talk you through what is the plan for this video. Okay, as I mentioned at the start, we want to do the wheels and then also focus on all of the bright work. If you can see it well on the camera, but it is extremely kind of rusted out, a little bit pitted. What I want to try and do is save as much of this as possible. I'm going to try and get it all stripped down. I'll then use the bench grinder and polisher to see how well I can get it kind of using the existing. Worst case, I'll send it in to get it re-chromed, but I think it'd be quite nice just to see how far we can get it back to original and how shiny we can get it using some of the kind of basic materials we have here. I think to start, I'm going to get all of the cables and all like the kind of bits and pieces off. I'll probably take the light bezel off and the horn, start cleaning on them, and I'll keep you updated on the progress. I don't think it's going to get as shiny as this one though. First up, looking at the state of all of the hardware on here, we're definitely going to need some lubrication in the mix. Let's see what we've got, and then we'll start giving it a good old soak down. That's probably not the best. What's this one? Swivel head, cleans and maintains, loosens rusted bolts. Let's give this a go. We'll let all this soak for a little bit before we attempt to take it off. We may even need to actually warm some of these up. Whatever this is, it smells really good. Let's see what it does, and I'll keep you posted. My plan is to actually focus on all of the bright work. I want to keep anything that's basically green as is. Keep as much of the original paint material as there is there. I think it's got a good look to it. It's got history. It tells a story. But however, Stuff like the bright work on here that's really corroded and worn out, I want to polish that back up, grind as much off as I can and then polish it so it looks good. Same as the bell, that also goes for all of the handlebar options up here and any bits which are attached to it, like the levers for the brakes. I also want to do the same on the drive lever here, just make that nice and shiny. I think that'll look really good next to the original painted patina. I'm also going to do the same down here. So any of the actual engine covers, any of the actual pedal arms, and the same on the other side, I will also clean and polish up to look as kind of good as possible, but maintaining the original bits. Also, there's a few bits I need to actually add to make the bike stand upable. As you can see here, it's missing the kickstand. It didn't come with that. Unfortunately, that must have been lost. I'm going to order kind of a period correct one to actually fit on there so it can be used and just kind of match it to the bike. That way the bike will be stable when it's stood so it doesn't accidentally get knocked over. Right, let's get into it. Right guys, quick check-in update. Let's just say it didn't go quite as planned, and I'll show you why. So in the handlebar stem here, there should be like a nut and bolt with somewhat of a wedge on the bottom. The idea is you undo this, give a little wriggle, and this should all slide up so you can take the bars out. There was no nut and bolt in here at all, so what I think's happened is all of the moisture, rain, whatever has got in here and it's now rusted solid. I gave it a good tap with a brass hammer. This won't move. I've loosened off here to try and give it a bit more kind of freedom. It still won't move. So what I've done is I wedged a cork in the bottom and I filled it full of oil, water, oil, rust remover, diesel. I tried all sorts and it still won't come loose. So what I've done is left it for a week with a cork in there and it's still full of rust removing chemicals, shall we say. The idea is now is I'm going to pull that out, give it a good clean up, then hopefully put something up the bottom in here, give it a knock so I can get the wedge loose, and then hopefully I'll be able to finally slide the bars out. Right, let's give this a pull and see how much gunk comes out. Hopefully that has done the trick. Most of that missed. Impressive. Right, let's try and strip it out. Here's the plan and here's the update. These are the original wheels off the Bima. I was hoping they would be serviceable, that we could use them in this kind of patina restoration kind of rolling project. Keep as much of the original as possible. Going to have to slightly change tact on these. One, it's been a nightmare to get the right tyre size. What I actually needed from my notes, what I thought I needed was tyres which were 219 23 2s. Actually, that was incorrect. I looked at it on the internet. Shouldn't trust what you read on the web. What I actually needed was 24 1.5 times 2s, which in old money is 650 Bs. Obviously, I now have a solution for those. It's not fancy, but the reason I'm going to use these old bike tyres for now with some inner tubes is, one, to get the bike away from where it's been sat for many months and actually back on wheels so I can move it around. But secondly, Exhibit A, right here, you can probably see there's two holes. It's missing spokes on this wheel. Exhibit B, it was so rotten with holes actually in the rim, it wouldn't be safe to use these to actually ride on. I put some chemical steel in them for now just to seal them up so I can get inner tubes on there and then move the bike. But I am going to have to find someone who can unfortunately either rebuild these. The actual hub assembly is really good, but it needs new spokes, new rims. A lot of these are really, really rusty, as you can probably can't see on the camera, but they've definitely seen better days. The front wheel is actually not in too bad a condition. That could probably be refurbished, but if I'm going to get someone to rebuild the back wheel from the hub out, I'll do the same on both wheels, so at some point it's definitely rideable. But for now, I'm just going to put a set of old bike tyres, some tubes on these. This rope will go round and act as like a seal because there's got a few sharp bits in here. I don't want to pop brand new inner tubes just for the sake of moving it around. So we're going to build these, get it back on its wheels, so to speak, and then we can actually work on the rest of the bike. These are just painted in a really rough grey right now, just to obviously make them look a little bit better whilst it stood, but I will definitely replace these before riding the bike. So this is part of the Bima, the Peugeot bike video. I'm filming it out of sequence because the bike, or scooter, moped we call it, is buried behind all of this stuff. And I started the other video a year and a half back. I'll post a link to the first part of the video. But ultimately, I want to start working on the bike again to get it back on its wheels. And one of the jobs which I was doing was smartening up the hardware, all the chrome work. It's not the best condition, but what I've started to do is I've started to polish up all of the parts which were looking really tired for themselves. So you can see this one's not looking too bad. It needs one more go on the buffing wheel. This one is starting to look really good as well. This is the bezel that goes around the headlight. This was really rusted and corroded. I'll try and find a picture before I polished it. What I don't want to do is take away the kind of aged patina look, but I want to make it not crusty and rusty and look quite nice. The next one I've got to do is this one, and this one's really crusty as well. So I'm going to film the process on this one. I did those ones kind of off camera just to give it a go. I'd also done a similar job on this one. So you can see I did the tanks, all the chrome bits where the toolbox goes, down there it's a bit dusty, and obviously the bezel on here. The aim is that we're going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to just kind of first of all start on this one, the grinding wheel, and then I'm going to keep polishing it with different grades of compound polish to see where it gets to. Fingers crossed, and then we'll jump back onto the bike. As you can see, it's already starting to come up much better. I'm going to keep doing this off camera, and then I'll show you kind of the next step in the results. Okay, I got a bit excited and ahead of myself. I've kind of put this back together temporary, so I've only got one of the bulbs in. This isn't wired up here on the top, this bit, and also this is only put in without the gasket. But check it out already. How much better does this look? It's coming up shiny. I'm not even giving it a proper polish. You can still see all my fingerprints all over it, but it's certainly starting to look a lot better. What's cool about the 50 stuff as well, I don't know if you can see this, but the lens has got like a point. It actually comes out at the bottom here. Such a cool piece of kind of like old school engineering. Let me put it down so I can show you, but here's a big crease in the middle of the glass, so it comes into a point. It just looks super cool. When that's on the bike, that's just gonna look so good. So I've finished doing the exciting bits, the headlight bezel and the horn. They're looking much better. The bike's still hidden down here, completely blocked in by this huge box that needs to be shipped to Denmark. But now I've got to go back, well, not go back, actually start on cleaning and polishing all these other bits, bolts, part of the wheel hub carrier for the brakes, all the bits that go through for the speedo. These all need a clean. So I'm just going to do the same approach again, smarten them up, make them look good. So wish me luck. This is the boring bit, but it'll make a big difference when it's back together. Oh yeah, they came up pretty good. This one is really shiny, check it out. You can see all the stamps in terms of where it was made and the speedo ratings. But yeah, pretty chuffed with how well that all polished up. And all it took was a little bit of elbow grease, some polish. That wheel, the buffering wheel, it's starting to look good. Now I just need to get the rest of the bike dragged out and get the tyres on. They are somewhere in that big black bit there. It's the new tyres. Hopefully, third time lucky, they'll be the right tyres. So you saw there from the time lapse that we were finally fitting the right size tyre. I mentioned earlier on that we were looking for, here it is, a 600 by 50 B, which is actually a 24 times 1.5 times 2. I wasn't planning on fitting these because the actual rim itself is pretty rubbish, to be honest. It's crunchy, rusty. You won't want to ride on them. They're okay if the bike's going to be static and just on display, but it looks pretty cool with the period correct white wall tyres. They're not actually the right ones for this bike. If they were, the bit here where my thumb is would be smooth, and where the drive gear on the back engages, I'll show that later on. It's quite hard to show where the bike is, but that would then join up on here and actually help it move. But like I said, I'm pretty happy the tyres are on. We can get the bike moving around a bit later on in the video. This rim here is particularly crunchy, hopefully you can see that. You definitely won't want to ride on them, but these are just until I find the right set, or maybe even go for a more modern looking wheel where I can put the hubs in the middle. Also, these were actually a lot harder from a tyre wheel than I thought they were, so I had to go through and actually just leave them on with the tyre arms. Period correct tyre, they're Dunlop, yep, they were pretty good. But actually once we got the tyres moving, they fitted the rims pretty quick. I think, guys, what we'll do first is just get the bike stripped down to as much as the frame as possible. Get the tank off if we can. We'll get all the little fairings off here. Get the seat stem out. The luggage rack off. One of the reasons I stopped, as I mentioned at the start of this video, is this stem for the handlebar is completely stuck fast. I've soaked it a few times. I've tried tapping out. It just not come out. I'd rather try and restore as much of this or get it back to looking as good as possible as we can. I'm probably gonna have to heat it up, but we'll get to that in a part of the video. What we'll also do is a little bit of a trip back down memory lane. You can see my failed attempt at removing this the first time. But stick with me, we're gonna keep going. Let's see if we can get this done. Hopefully that has done the trick. Most of that missed, impressive. After more effort than I expected, it is stripped pretty much down. I could take this back one off, but honestly I can clean that where it is and get to all the access points that I need to. But it's looking pretty bare and very skinny. Next up on the list is to start stripping off the pedals. I'll get the arms off and get those cleaned up and get in there. We'll clean the engine and sort all that out at a later point in the resto. I don't even know if it works, but we've got to at least clean it up so it looks nice, and then we'll get into the mechanicals at a later point. I need to order some brake and all the other cabling. They're all pretty worn out and crusty. And then the worst bit, I need to get these bars out of here. Not looking forward to that, but it's getting cold, it's late. I want to call it quits here for today, but progress has been made. I'll keep chipping away tomorrow. The next day, still pretty cold, but let's get some cleaning done on the Bima. So here we go. So this is where we got to. Well, the fairings and panels and guards are off. It's pretty rough. You can see from the colour differences. Not rough, sorry, pretty grimy is what I mean. So in the previous video, which I linked at the start, you can see we've already kind of gone over this bit and kind of Made the patina pop, brought the paint back through, the gold pinstripe, etc. It does need another going over and some oil on there to make the colours pop back out, some boiled linseed oil. But for now I'm going to clean up all the rest of this, clean down the frame just with some WD-40 and some wire wool, and then get in here and start cleaning this. I then want to strip the pedal arms off, the chain off, and get as much of this cleaned as we can. Not going to tackle that just yet because it's going to be a real pain. I have to get some heat on the bars. And then also on these bits, where on the first video we did the outside, and I want to go through and just get all of the junk and dirt off the inside and protect that so it lasts a little bit longer. And the same for all the rest of the parts here. This needs a slight weld where one of the brackets was broken, but other than that, quite an easy fix. Just to bring you back in so you can see, as we've seen it, the colours are starting to pop back through and all that surface rust is off, just to the nice patina underneath. I've done a couple of bits, now I'm going to move on to the next bits. Now most of it's stripped down, we need to get some of the harder bits off. I think we're going to start with the pedals and then we're going to tackle the bars. So I've been soaking the nut for a while on here. That came off nice and easy, just undone with a little bit of pressure. I was just careful not to strip the threads. This pin though, that needs to drop this way, now needs to be hammered out so I can slide the arm off and get this off. My friend, heat is going to be key here, and then we're going to tackle the bars with the same method. So I'm slowly going to heat this bit here and then tap it out, put the nut back on so you don't knacker your threads or hit it with a bit of wood, just to make sure you don't make any damage. It will then be a pain to get a new pin for this bike. Anyway, I'm going to give it a go, fingers crossed. Yep, it's probably going to need more heat. Yep, more heat. As you can see, not moved. We're going to have to heat it up for quite some time to let the metal expand, and then we'll try again. Things escalated. It took a while to get the pedals off. About 6 attempts of heating, cooling, soaking, but they're off. Now you can see they're absolutely nasty, so I'm going to take these over to the grinding and polishing wheel and try and get much of the corrosion off and make them as shiny as possible. As you can see, I also take the whole engine out, which wasn't on the cards for this go around because I was going to strip it another time to see if I can get it to run. But whilst it's out, we may as well give it a good clean so it looks nice and shiny. It also turns over, so I don't think it will be too much of a challenge to get this running, but it's quite cool with the old P for Peugeot logo. This is the bit here also that I mentioned swings in and out to engage with the tyre. So when you put it in drive with the lever on the bike, it swings out and engages the back tyre. These bits I've already started to give a clean, as you saw in the time lapse. This bit is looking good. This is off the front of the engine. I'll show you where that goes at a later point. This is the bit I was on about here with the lever. Oh, and also you can see this is now on the bench because I've been trying to get the handlebars off. As you can see, I have failed miserably. I've heated them, I've ratcheted it down, I've hammered them with many different types of hammer that you can see over there. They will not come out. It's been soaking for months. It's been heated, cooled. So as you can see, I've already started to polish them on the bike. We'll keep going with that a bit later in the video, but so far it's looking good. But next steps now is to clean all of the frame. I've given it a bit of a soak, but we're going to carry on now and get this done. And then I'll bring you back when we start putting the bike back together. Progress continues to be made on the Bima. It's starting to look good. What I've done is bolted all the bits on that I can. They're only like finger tight, not on perfectly. But I put them all on basically so I still have access to all the cables, so I can run all new throttle cables, brake cables, etc. But I wanted to motivate myself to get it finished by getting it looking a bit more like a bike again. And let's take a look. So it's already looking so much better having all of the guards on, all of the pedals, the engine's all bolted back in. It's all wired up through here, so that now swings perfectly. Before this was seized up, now it all swings. If I can show you on here. You can see that moving now, engages in the back tyre. But yeah, it's looking so much better having all the headlamp bezel back in, all the horns back on, wheels are back on. It's looking so much better. I'm now motivated to get all the cabling done. I realised I didn't have any of the bits to crimp on the end, so I just ordered a set of those, but I have all the cables. This one's now run and done. Tilt the engine. Next stop, cables on, and then we're going to get all the engine covers, tank, everything else back on. But it's starting to look like a bike again. I'm motivated now. Looks so much better out of the garage. Admittedly, I didn't ride it here. Well, I did, but I bicycled it here rather than actually under its own power. But it's got really good compression. I think it would actually ride, just need some fuel sorting and a few bits and pieces. But man, it looks good with the sun setting behind it. Check the patina. The white walls are looking good. Cool little storage case for tools. Perfect colour match, looks really cool. Also French. Just looks really cool with the older springs holding on. Latched on here. It's got the right look. Matches the seat and the rest of the colour of all the frame and the bikes and the guards. But yeah, I love it. This looks really good. Even the chrome's trying to shine in the sunshine as it sets. But yeah, I'm pretty chuffed. Next, we'll get it running, get some handlebar grips. Few little bits and pieces, but yeah, it's cool. Oh, and it needs a kickstand. But for now, period-ish correct ball, just to keep it standing up. But cheers everyone for watching, and see you on the next one.